right, guys. Captain Paul here aboard the $1 Million Bayliner. Thank you, Steve, for letting me use it. I love the air conditioner. Hope you guys enjoyed that air conditioner video I did the other day talking about it. But today I want to talk about consulting, a boat consultant versus a boat broker. What does a boat broker do? So a boat broker is a person who works for a brokerage for a commission selling boats. So he's constantly out there on the look for boats. Really, in his mind, the only thing that's important is selling a boat. And anybody that uses a buyer's broker boat, and that's a bad way to start your boating business. And I want to hear that in the comments because that'll be a controversial thing. I think there was a broker out there a long time ago started that bullshit, and his name Curtis Stokes. Hey, there's no way I was signing up. I got involved in all of it, but there's no way. He actually did do a couple of deals with me on both of my first two boats, but he was not the buyer's broker. I went out and found the boat, if that makes sense. And there's a reason for that, because when you have a buyer's broker, they only have accessibility to their boats and other brokers, but not all of them. Some of the good stuff. Usually you'll call the guy, the broker, the listing broker, and he'll say, I can't sell the, you know what I'm saying? There's no agreement to let another broker in on the deal. So no, because it breaks down $200,000 boat, $20,000 commission. The brokerage gets $10,000. The broker gets $10,000. So if you know the guy and it's a clean boat, you know it's going to sell fast, you don't need the help of another broker. What needs the help of another broker is the junk out there that's for sale, and most of it is junk. And those boats are easy to get the commissions on and double broker them because they're not as easy to sell. They're a lot of work. And so the easy sells, the clean boats that go very, very quickly, they're usually listed with a broker. He knows it, and then he will not share the commission. So that's a huge no-no. So what does a consultant do? Let me just, it's not even about buying a boat. That's not what, a yacht consultant, that's what I am. I am a yacht consultant. I'm not a broker of boats. I do get involved in deals, but as a consultant only, not as a broker. And I explain that right up front. Even if I'm writing the paperwork on the deal, the deal's between two individuals, not me. I am out of the financial and all the obligations. All I'm doing is consulting and giving you my opinion. Now, what is my opinion matter? Well, there's different consultants out there. There's people who say they've done America's Great Loop. I'm on my third loop right now. I've actually completed it twice. One under my own power. I put up $150,000 of my own money, buying my own boat, going through that whole process of buying not one, but two boats, two trawlers, repairing them, fixing them, seeing firsthand what it was all about, getting involved in this lifestyle. And then I took it on America's Great Loop, a 6,000 mile nautical mile. And then Southern State, you guys can see all the videos. I took it over to the Bahamas, and on that particular boat, I had probably somewhere right over a little over 10,000 miles, cruising miles on that boat, and one of them was America's Great Loop. So there's that knowledge. Then there's the knowledge now that I'm a licensed captain. I'm a 100-ton licensed U.S. Coast Guard captain. I worked commercially for 2 years for a little resort called Little Palm Resort. We had 5 different vessels. We ran every engine package from single Yanmar to twin Yanmars to Volvos to outboards, 300 Suzukis. On one of our particular boats, that was 5 different boats in every kind of weather condition you could imagine, from 50-knot winds to 4 and 5 foot seas, and out there every single day. We did 19 dockings a day. So that was one. That's a little bit more. And I'm not trying to sell you on me. I'm just saying, as a consultant, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for the sacrifices, the money that I put up. Because Little Palm Island was a very low-paying job, and I had to sit there and suffer through that heat. I shouldn't say that, because suffering through the Florida Keys, it was beautiful down there. It really, really was. But that job was it was kind of humiliating in a way, and the humiliation was the pay. It was just absolutely horrific. I'm out there paying $2,000 a month rent to make 25 bucks an hour. The amount of money that I made from the job didn't even pay the rent, the slip rent on the boat. You had to be rich just to have a job out there in the Florida Keys. It is what it is. So that's what I did as a consultant. Now I've done, from Marathon, Florida over to Grays Harbor, and and we're getting ready to take that boat to Alaska. And I've taken it all the way around through the Panama Canal. I've, run Detroits, Volvos, Yanmars, Cummings, just about every engine package, every kind of shaft drive, pod drive, everything that you can think of. That's what I'm consulting you on, from solar systems to, because I built my own solar system. And I built several other now solar systems, setting up lithium batteries. These are all consulting factors, whether you're buying a boat, selling a boat, whether, who you're using for your surveyor. What are you looking for in a surveyor? How do I get insurance on the boat? Where do I go? You know what I'm saying? It's just a consultant. I'm this little guy that sits on your shoulder, whether you like it or not. And I am just kind of steering the deal. I'm the guy. I'll pull the buck for you. We'll look at it. We'll talk about it. I go through the boat, what it looks like on paper, and then what you're going to be looking at after you purchase the boat. So there's no hidden cost, so you're not, there's no sticker shock, woo, what the fuck did I just do? As you're shelling out $100,000 after the purchase of the boat because you didn't have a fucking clue what you were doing. That's what a consultant does. And we could try and save you from yourself at the same time. And, sometimes it works. It's better than having a broker, and especially like a buyer's broker type thing, because I think that's one of the biggest mistakes, biggest conception in the boating market. So anyway, when you're looking for your consultant, that's, how many miles you got, where you been, how many different boats you've been on. I consider myself probably an expert at these old Hatterases because I've done, I've got tens of thousands of miles, not just, 1,000 miles. These are all open ocean, and I've new stabilization to the old stabilization. And that's, what I bring to the table. If you're looking at, one of these old Hatterases, I'm probably one of the most hated guys in the boating industry right now, especially if you're a guy trying to sell one of your old junky Hatterases that needs new engines, new electronics, new everything, and you're asking too much money for it. Because I know, and the guy calls me and says, hey, what do you think of this? Perfect examples, Bill calls me from Alaska, says, hey, what do you think of this boat? I said, yeah, on paper it looks okay, but it needs this. It needs engines. It needs electronics. It needs this. It needs that. I go, if it was me, I probably wouldn't waste my money on a survey on the boat because it was in that bad a shape. But the guy bought into it, and then he says, well, who do you got for a surveyor that we could use? And I said, well, use Roy. Roy gets out to the boat. He does the survey. He says, hey, do you know Captain Paul? And he goes, yeah, I know the guy. He goes, I don't believe in his, his teachings, and I don't believe in his philosophy and stuff like that. And Roy asked him a couple questions. What don't you believe in? I mean, the guy went through the Panama Canal. He's taken these boats, this boat I'm standing on right here, through the Panama Canal, 10,000 miles. And what's not to believe? Anyway, so and the guy goes, well, blah, blah, blah. He didn't have a definitive answer. And the definitive answer was that he's selling his old beat-up Hatteras down there in Fort Lauderdale. And, Roy went out there and there's exactly everything that I said to the T was exactly, the boat, the electronics, the engines, everything. It needed everything, steering, everything. So obviously the guy, he's pissed off. He's, I hurt his feelings, and I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings, but it is what it is. And if you guys want to get involved in these boats, you gotta get real on what you're getting involved in. And as a consultant, I already know. Yeah, I'm not guessing how to take a boat through the Panama Canal. I'm not guessing how to, run the lock systems on the river. I just finished 2,000 nautical miles on this 4788 Bayliner. And, I'm not guessing. I've done it all before. The Mississippi to me is probably one of the most dangerous parts of the entire loop. Just because of that current. You'll underestimate it because when it's running at 4 or 5 knots, you already have 4 or 5 knots of speed in the boat. And so slowing it down or getting it to a dock, it becomes much, much more complicated. So anyway, my opinion as a consultant. And even Mike even made the comment, he goes, screw the hurricanes. This is where the insurance companies should really be paying attention, is this Mississippi. And I said, yeah, I know. And I know why. Anyway, I just wanted to share that video with you. I want to hear your comments down below. Anyway, I want to hear you guys' comments. It's a new world, and you know, anybody can do anything you want. You know, I've always said to you know, you can you know, you don't have to be the richest man in the graveyard. And if you want to go do America's Great Loop, it doesn't really matter how you do it. You buy the boat, you hire a captain, whatever you got to do, just hire the right guy, you know, for the right job. And you know, if you want to hire somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, you know, and you know, just ask them for their credentials. And mine's all on YouTube. Just look at every video for the last 5 years. You know, it's all about boating. I'm out here on the water every single day, docking, running, and running these waterways. And it doesn't matter, East Coast, West Coast, it doesn't matter, you know. So anyway, peace out. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe, share it with your friends. Thank you so much. I want to hear your comments. Make sure you go to the t-shirt store. Carmen's working on some more t-shirts, and I want to hear your comments. What do you guys think? What kind of t-shirts do you want to see in the store? Anyway, remember, live life with no regrets. I do. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it, and peace out.